Imagine waking up tomorrow to find your city in total darkness. The grocery store shelves are completely empty, the gas station is closed indefinitely, and the craziest part? It's all because of a single airstrike that happened 7,000 miles away. This isn't the plot of a dystopian movie, this is the exact reality of April 2026. Right now, the world is facing the most severe, interconnected geopolitical crisis of our lifetime. You've probably seen the headlines about the massive military escalation between the United States and Iran. But here is the secret the mainstream news isn't explaining. The real story isn't just about the explosions in the Middle East. It's about how this one conflict is destroying the global economy, turning off the lights in a Caribbean nation, and triggering a secret shadow war in the oceans of Europe. Today, we are going to look at the invisible threads connecting global power. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what is really happening in the world right now and why your food and gas prices depend on it. Let's rewind slightly. This current inferno, which the US calls Operation Epic Fury, is the sequel to a war that started in June 2025. By April 2026, the US and Israel managed to destroy roughly 90% of Iran's long-term missile manufacturing capacity. But Iran fought back hard. The skies over the Middle East became highly lethal, and for the first time since the war began, an American F-15E fighter jet was actually shot down over Iranian territory. Realizing they couldn't win a traditional war in the sky, Tehran did something that directly affects you. They completely shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Why does that matter? Because a staggering 25% of the entire world's maritime oil trade passes through this tiny strip of water. Instantly, oil prices skyrocketed to a historic peak of $126 a barrel. It is officially the largest oil supply disruption in global history. Now, you might be thinking, okay, oil is expensive. What else is new? Well, look at India. India's booming economy relies heavily on imported energy. Just weeks before this crisis, the US heavily pressured India to stop buying cheap, discounted oil from Russia. India eventually agreed, sacrificing their own leverage to appease Washington. But when Iran blocked the Strait of Hormuz, India's Middle Eastern oil vanished. Facing total economic collapse, the US had to frantically give India a 30-day pass to buy Russian oil again. Indian imports of Russian crude surged by 90% almost overnight. But Russia is smart. Having watched India cave to American pressure, Moscow completely removed their friendship discount. Now, India is stuck paying premium prices. Worse, since fertilizers are made from gas that comes through that blocked strait, Indian farmers in regions like Punjab are warning of a massive impending food crisis. Meanwhile, 7,000 miles away, a whole country went completely dark. By early March, the entire nation of Cuba suffered an island-wide blackout, leaving 11 million people without power for up to 20 hours a day. Why? Because their power grid relies on imported oil. The US, hoping to force the Cuban government to collapse, threatened aggressive sanctions on any country that sold oil to Cuba. Mexico got scared and stopped its shipments. Cuba was being starved out. But this is where the story gets really wild. While the US was busy bombing Iran and blockading Cuba, Russia was quietly operating a shadow fleet, a massive armada of over 3,240 disguised aging ships used to secretly move Russian oil around the globe. Western patience snapped. A shadow war broke out in the oceans. The UK authorized its military to forcibly board these Russian ghost ships, and Sweden intercepted a sanctioned tanker called the Flora 1 right in the Baltic Sea. But Russia saved its ultimate masterstroke for America's backyard. Knowing the US military was stretched entirely too thin with the Iran war, Russia sent a massive oil tanker right into Havana, Cuba to save their power grid. And the United States? They didn't do a thing to stop it. Because trying to seize a Russian ship in the Caribbean while fighting a war in the Middle East would risk starting World War III. So, let's connect the dots. The US is stuck in a war. Europe is chasing ghost ships. India is facing an energy crisis. Cuba is blacked out. Who's actually winning? The answer is simple: the people who aren't fighting. The true strategic beneficiaries of this global fracture are China and Russia. By staying suspiciously quiet and letting the US drain its resources in a Middle Eastern quagmire, Moscow and Beijing are securing the space they need to dominate the globe. The big realization of 2026 is this: energy is no longer just what powers your car, it is the ultimate geopolitical weapon. The interconnected world we used to know is dead. If a country relies on a single supplier or a single transit route, it can be ruined overnight. The next world war won't just be fought with bullets and bombs. It will be fought by severing pipelines, blocking straits, and turning off the lights. The global chessboard is resetting right before our eyes, and the next move will affect every single one of us. Do you think the era of globalization is officially over, or is this just a temporary fracture? Let's debate it down in the comments. If you want to understand what's really happening in the world without the mainstream fluff, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and I'll see you in the next one.